provide free heckling, by the way.
We're gonna go through my part. So today, welcome to March. Today we're gonna go over Shell's monthly safety focus because it has quite a bit of information in it, so I wanted to do it just as its own separate little weekly topic, just so we get everything covered. We can focus on it for the month. So I got those papers out for you guys. Can I borrow yours?
Yes.
Grab one of those papers for those of you coming in.
I'll let you borrow mine.
For those of you online, they look like this. This bit of information and then some stop work on the back. I will be handing them to supervisors to get to you guys to put them in your trucks and whatnot. So we'll just start. The first section on it is fit for duty. So I'm just going to pull all these up. I don't know why they're all individual. So on that sheet, you can see, talks about notifying. Make sure you're notifying a supervisor if your ability to drive can be affected by a medical condition that can lead to unsafe driving. That includes taking over-the-counter medicines, anything that can affect you while you're operating your vehicles or doing your jobs. Make sure to eat healthy and get exercise. You guys are sitting in your trucks for 12 to 14 hours a day, so make sure you're getting out, getting some exercise, eating properly. Get your regular checkups, make sure you're good to go. Next one on there, drink your water. Does anyone know how much water you're supposed to drink daily besides Kim?
6 gallons.
Half your weight in ounces, yes. So, if you weigh, I'm not going to do the math for you. You know how much you weigh and half of that in ounces. Get properly rested. They suggest at least 7.5 hours of uninterrupted sleep. But remember from Super Trooper Harvey's fatigue awareness video, that can be hard to do if you have, kids, dogs, noisy neighbors, things like that. Just make sure you're doing what you need to. Make sure you're getting rested up. And bottom line, when you go out to do your job, are you going to be able to perform your job as expected when you get out there? That's it for the Fit for Duty. On to the next section on there, vehicle maintenance. We do have scheduled preventative maintenance program, and it does follow the OEM requirements, the original equipment manufacturer guidelines. If you're curious about that, you can ask Joelle or Shop. Make sure you're inspecting critical safety equipment. This includes your overfill system, your IVMS system, your horn, your fire extinguisher, cones, all that good stuff. Make sure it's good to go before you go out, and included in that, I guess that is included in your pre- and post-trips. Make sure you're doing proper pre- and post-trips before you go out and do your duties. Last one on there is Goal Zero. Again, by signing that Destination Goal Zero paper in here, you're making a commitment yourself to ensure each choice you make and each action you make in doing your job results in safe work. Again, that's your choice to make, and those choices that you make don't only affect you, but they affect the people around you, the people sitting next to you in this room, their families. So again, make sure when you're making your choices, making your decisions, you're remembering that they don't only affect you. Wear your PPE. Remember, it is your last line of defense in place after all other controls, so once your administrative and engineering controls fail, PPE is your last line of defense protecting you. So slow down, take your time, follow your policies and procedures, make sure everything's good and tight and safe to go. Driving defensively, make sure you're looking ahead, being aware of your surroundings, and driving to the conditions of the road, and use your stop work. Remember, your stop work is not just a right, but it is also an obligation. It is part of your duty if there's something that is unsafe. Make sure you're exercising that right to stop work. Can anyone give me an example of when you personally use stop work? No? Not one? Not at all? No one's ever used stop work for an unsafe condition?
Yeah. I did in North Dakota. The wellhead, one of the risers off of it burst, and there was a loud squeal of air.
All right.
So I figured, I probably shouldn't be loading at that time.
Counts.
So
Perfect. Okay. That's it for our safety focus. So all of these things, that's our focus for the month. We we go over this so you guys are aware of them and take it into your daily operations. You know, we don't just come in here and talk about it to forget about it the next day. It's something you should be actively working at every day, keeping this in the back of your mind, working towards it. Alan, take it away.
Wow. Soiree.
Soiree! It starts with an S, so does suggestions.
Thank you.
I'm just going to cover a couple things that we had through the employee suggestion that have come in and questions that have come up. I'll try to go through it fairly quick. I think we had a lot of good stuff come in. I think from on the suggestions site. So I'll just kind of touch on it. I don't know if drivers want me to say their names or not. Some put names. Some stuff is anonymous. So I'll start by answering. Let's see, there was a question last week on shuttling drivers from the Gillette shop over to the other where their car is. So I talked to Randy Toohey, who's the field supervisor up there, just happens to live right between the two locations. He said you can call him anytime. We'll work out a rate to just pay Randy to transport if he's available. If he's not, we'll have to go with the Uber or the cab thing. But the nice thing about Randy is I don't think anybody's going to sit there and wait very long for a ride. He's literally a mile away and will be there to get you. So just call Randy Toohey and he can shuttle you to the truck or take the truck back, whatever needs to be done. One of the things, a suggestion from one of the drivers was when equipment comes out of the shop, would be nice to know what was completed. Don't always get everything done. So in other words, you put 5 things on a DVIR and only 2 things got done. This is a good suggestion. We've talked about it. We're actually working on doing this so that there'll either be a form or a way left in the truck for the driver to show some communication if everything wasn't done or what was basically everything that was completed on the truck. So when will we see a rate sheet? That should be out. To be totally honest with you, I thought it was out. So I didn't know that wasn't out. But it is now. Glad somebody asked. So morale is low and doesn't seem to be getting any better. I don't know what to tell you on that. Morale is a choice. I mean, we're doing everything we can. If you don't feel that way, I'm sorry. I don't know what more to do. We put in a lot of time and effort. The only major change is the rates. I know that a lot of people, we can sit here and talk about the shop, and I'll give you some things. So, and I'm just tying this into another question that said, the policy of shop and drivers not talking needs to stop. This is a terrible policy, very bad for morale. I'm going to tell you right now, I totally disagree. And actually, the person who put this input had a ton of great input that I agree with. That's actually the only one I don't agree with. There's no shop you can just walk into and start talking to mechanics. I can tell you right now, if you wanted to walk into Central Truck and go talk to their mechanics, they're going to boot you out of there. And if you think that this is something that the mechanics want or are upset about, I'm telling you, the mechanics are just being nice to you. We've met with every mechanic. That this isn't something they want to be pulled off. They're just like if you were out there doing your job and somebody came and distracted you. And I'm not trying to say things to piss everybody off. You can communicate with the shop, and there's a process for it. Obviously, you can go up and communicate with the shop, so I'm not saying that. And I'm going to cover a lot of things on the shop that I want you guys to be aware of. First of all, looking at the shop, Joel is implementing a lot of my processes. Okay, these things are not new. The enforcement and holding people accountable probably is new. And I know there's people that don't like it, but I'm telling you, we have to succeed. And I get it. I value the drivers, but I'm just trying to shoot straight with you guys. We spent $30,000 in December on supplies like hydrometers, gloves, glasses, All these things that are completely unaccounted for. Now, do you need those things? I get it. And we have to have a process to get those things to you. I'll get to that. But, and that comes to Chad's question from last week, which, we're kind of following up and trying to figure this out. But it's not as easy as just saying, okay, go up there. Because not everybody does what you do. I don't know who's being frugal and just taking what they need and who's abusing it. But I can tell you that it should not cost us $30,000 a month for these minor things that you need that should last. I get that you're going to go through gloves, you know what I mean? But there's people going through 3 pair of gloves a week. That is excessive. And constantly grabbing, the hydrometers are the one that kill. I mean, I don't know if we just throw these things away at the end of the day, but $30,000, that's not a made up number. It's crazy. And I get, if you're the guy that sits there and takes care of your equipment, it's got to be frustrating. I look at it like a work comp issue. If you're the guy that is not going to, you've been out there, you've slipped, you fell, you hurt, you fight through it, you do what you can to go to work. But every once in a while, there's a serious injury that happens, and you just need work comp to be there. And I support that 100%. But you always got those people out there that abuse that. And that leads us to question everything, right? Like, when I came into this company, I was so much like, we got to take care of these drivers until the first 3 work comp issues I got involved with and found out they were total scams. One of them even captured on video that was blow your mind if you saw it. And I'm not saying people are doing that with supplies, but we're not being frugal, and it's not fair. It's not fair. I'm telling you right now, don't get pissed at the shop. Get pissed at the drivers that are abusing this stuff. Because I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. And some of you guys, I know, you've earned our respect, you've earned our trust, and you're paying the price for it. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to do, but we can't keep paying this. We got inventory that's completely out of whack. And our shop costs, but here's a few things I'll tell you about the shop since we have implemented these processes and put some things in there. The mechanics are more efficient. That's proven in statistics. Supplies are not being abused. Our shop costs are dropping quickly. That's not to say we don't need to get you guys supplies, and we recognize that. Like I said, I'll touch on it in a minute. DVIRs are being addressed. Now, I know that some of you said, well, I put this DVIR and this didn't get... Look, for example, a week ago we had, 3 or 4 people in the shop calling sick, and there were DVIRs. We didn't get to everything. We did a couple things. But overall, I can tell you the DVIs are way better. The information coming from the drivers and the shop putting out trucks that are completed and fixed is way better. Tires are, what we spent in tires last month versus this month is down 58%. That's huge when you think of what we spend in tires. And there's way less road calls. The stuff is making a difference. Like it, don't like it. We're trying to work with you guys. Obviously, we have to keep drivers moving. We want to help you succeed. That's never changed. I get frustrated with the morale and don't know what to do. We're doing everything we can to help. Sometimes I think, there's this blame on the company about what's going on in the whole industry. I don't know. But I can tell you we're doing everything we can to help you succeed. As we lose drivers, will we be updated as to the plans at safety meetings, especially if we have more volume coming? I don't really have any secrets from you guys. I'm not sure I like to put everything out in a safety meeting just because other people have access to it with our website, with going out on YouTube and things like that and the recordings. But there's no secret on volume. I'll tell you, we did just limit so the amount of days some of the leasers are working and things like that. I submitted a whole report on pending volume. I think March looks good and April looks better as far as compared to February, by a couple thousand a day. And we still have some stuff pending that if that goes through, it could be really good. I just haven't heard back on it. Today I heard we won one and lost one. Would have really liked to have both of them. or a couple long runs that probably would have generated pretty good revenue and pay for the driver. But it's still coming at a good pace. So I think everyone in management needs to take a deep breath and be more positive. I think it would help to see Kyle and Joel in the field at least one day a week just to check on drivers and be positive, not doing audits. Leave that for the supervisors. Just get to know your people. It would be great to see them out in the yard and shop also. Totally agree with this driver. We've recognized that. We need to make it happen. I think you're almost going to have to just set a day because you come into work and you get pulled in all these different directions. I'm totally supportive of that. I always have been. I think that I would include me and Gilby in that as well. And we need to get out there and be talking to producers. We do a lot on the phone, not so much on the face-to-face. And we need to do better. But I agree. I think that's a great bit of input there. So how to get supplies. So I've got a bunch of options here. And we're talking about how do we do this and have some accountability. And we have remote locations. We have here. We have day and night, weekends. It's difficult. I don't know. Did that person call you back on the?
I'm meeting with them on Thursday.
Okay, so one thing that we're looking at, and if anybody wants to send suggestions, I'm good for it. But I have some, and I can find pros and cons with each one. It's not as easy as you want to think of just saying, oh, we're going to do it, because we get killed in the cost of these things. I can't believe how much it adds up. But we're looking at a vendor doing a vending type thing where every driver has their own number. They can enter it. They can get it anytime they want. But the machine will track who took what, so I can see if somebody's getting, 25 pair of gloves in a month. And then I can deal with it more with a rifle than a shotgun. Instead of sitting here talking like everybody's a bad guy, I can go to somebody and say, why did you need 3 hydrometers? So we actually wanted to go this route a while back, and the prices were just expensive. It's convenient for the drivers, I can tell you, because you can do it anytime you're here. You can just go. The cost was just kind of crazy. So if we can get them, Kyle's meeting with them. We talked to him today on the phone. If we can get a reasonable cost on these things, because it's not who we're buying from now, then that would be a great solution. But it's got to be cost effective. And then that would help us figure out where the problem is and why is it happening. So there was another one, again, with kind of dealing with the shop. And it said, communication between the shop, intake, dispatch, operations on what is down, what is up. That we don't always know what's up. If a driver calls about their truck, sometimes it's up, and then they get here, it's not up, and there's poor communication. I do think we have a good solution to this, and this has been long overdue because I've heard this happening. So we have a monitor out in the shop. And this is going to be Gilby's project. He needs to get her done, but there'll be a monitor in the shop, and we'll put a monitor that mirrors that one in dispatch. So the dispatchers can just look up and see it. And it'll be kept current, and they'll know as soon as the truck comes up, it'll show it on the monitor, and it'll show it in dispatch. This isn't that hard. This is going to fall on Kyle and the shop to make sure it's kept. It's not any good if we don't keep it current. So the mechanics, as soon as that truck goes out, are going to have to update the report into the monitor. But this should be good for everybody. And when you ask dispatch, hopefully dispatch won't have to run outside and find the truck and then say, yeah, it's here. And then you get here and, oh, but it's down for this reason. It was in the wrong line. I get that that's got to be frustrating. So there's a lot of things we want to do to try to help. I know there's things we can do better, but I also want you guys to understand that, we're doing everything we can to try to keep these things moving. Like I told you before, working on a deal for trucks. had a meeting on that today, and it went pretty good. I mean, there's definitely some optimism here as far as getting some new trucks. And other than that, I mean, as far as the business, I know there's some concern, like, oh, is there enough crude oil out there? I mean, I've said this before, but if you talk to Dustin, or you can go outside of my wheelhouse to Kyle or Gilby, I'm actually more concerned if we can keep up in the next couple months than I am that we're not going to have enough. I can promise you that. The problem that I have is the stuff's all over the place. You know, it's not the ideal, so it's where we win the volume and how we attack it, and with what drivers and what trucks, and some people are willing to go certain places. I mean, ideally, I wish that we had some drivers that lived in Wright. I mean, we don't, but if we did, I mean, that would probably help too. But we're trying to figure this all out so we can get maximum loads on the trucks, be efficient, and get you guys back home with a load. We're also a lot of times limited to the noms. It's not always like we can't always just make the decision that we're going to take this here, and our last load come back to Casper. Sometimes, we got to meet numbers at Douglas Rail or Campbell or 59 and all the other lats. It's a difficult thing for dispatch. Let me see.
There's questions online.
Okay, go ahead.
Just a lot of comments about things getting signed out. So should we know who is signing things out and using most equipment?
Well, since I came here, if you wanted something, you went to the window, you gave me your truck number, you gave me your name. You got your supplies, and they put it all on paper, or you were to write it on the paper and turn it in.
Yeah, they can still do.
How can we not track the guys that are getting those 3 pairs of gloves or 4
We can.
kilometers in a week if everybody's following that?
Well, I don't think everyone is following it.
Not everybody was signing it out correctly. There was a lot of stuff that just walked away without that sheet being filled out. So, yeah, we could go back and look at some of those and see some of the users.
Yeah, but I think, and it's a good point. You're not wrong. I think the issue is that now that it's not 24 hours, that makes it more difficult. We were paying a ton of money to have people there that just wasn't feasible late in the hours, and having people there, and like you say, taking mechanics off jobs to fill out that paperwork. I mean, I can tell you right now, I watched the cameras. Did we have people sitting there waiting to see if a driver came in and needed something, and they spent the whole night watching YouTube? We did. Now, is that great for the driver? It is. It is. Because you can just come in and boom, it's there. But is it good for the company to pay somebody? Like, I love the convenience to the driver, and if there's a way I could do that. So you're not wrong. And we probably could go back and we could probably figure some things out in the past. But the problem is, how do we do it now if the shop isn't 24 hours? And we can't afford to just have people sitting in there. And that's been where the problem is. I want things to be convenient for you, easy for you. I want there to be trust where we're not worried about all this stuff. But every month, if you see my end, I have to submit an inventory. And that inventory is off by thousands and thousands of dollars every month. And it's like something doesn't add up. Like, I don't know where it is. And, but you're right. And that's why we were doing that. You're exactly right. I mean, it works if it's 24 hours. I won't beat it up. I really do appreciate it. And looking at this stuff, there's nothing in here. Even when people ask questions about morale or something, there's nothing in here that pisses me off. Chad, I could tell, was frustrated last week. He has every right to be frustrated. I want to get this stuff figured out. And if it was anybody other than Chad, I would probably be pissed, thinking there's just somebody wanting to scream and be negative. But I do know Chad well enough to know he's trying to fix things and wants the company to be better. And so I'm trying to take the time to give you guys answers, because I know there's things we can do better and there's things we need to fix. But there's so much going on right now. Like, I'm overwhelmed. I can tell you, between trying to get volume and all these things and dealing with the customers, and then trying to the changes that are going on with trucks and trailers and leasers. It's a difficult time for them as we're dealing with leasers. And I'm telling you, as I look a month or 2 months ahead, it looks things look pretty good. It's just, there's nothing I can do. I know everyone's down about the rates and all the other issues that have come up. And I don't know what to do other than to tell you open and honestly that we're doing everything we can. And I like to think that when these issues come up, they're in the best interest of, okay, how do we fix it and not just to complain about something. And I can tell you, I do feel like that reading, even the anonymous ones, I feel like was very good input.
I'm going to give a suggestion here real quick. Let all you supervisors roll it over your mind. Just a suggestion. Something I've done in the past and had to do in the past with other companies. Done it in North Dakota. Done it in Colorado. Done it here in Wyoming. Company goes through, and we've talked about doing this before. Not quite to this extent. Company goes through, help the drivers out, and issue each driver a full set of tools. Okay? After that full set of tools is issued to each driver, after that, they're charged, the driver is charged for the bits and pieces that they have abused, not taken care of, they have lost, they have broken. Now, I understand hydrometers are really fragile. You can look at them and break. But everybody here has went to their truck, looked inside the hydrometer case, and it was stuffed full of oil because people refuse to take care of it. We start charging the drivers for the parts that are being abused. They'll start taking better care of it if they got to pay for it. Not that they have to have cash on hand, take it out of their check. Allow them one a month. Anything past that's going to cost you the $90 or the $100 for the hydrometer.
Don't give them a leeway. If you're gonna do something a certain way, you need to stick to it. If they can't take care of their shit, I've had my hydrometers for over a year and never broke any of them because I don't want to charge $100.
Well, let me just address this. Like, I don't think that's a bad idea. In fact, it's kind of what Joel did with the water, and we haven't had problems with equipment since we did that. And this came up last week, and I think I saw Joelle taking a little beating back there because she was under the impression we had done the same thing with crude, and we hadn't. And I think it's a great idea. It's the cost of initially doing it. So I'm glad you brought that up, Chad, because here's one thing we were doing. So, and I'm good either way. I really am. So we looked at putting a lock on the grind out box. So you have your truck, there's a lock. And, I would have a master key that opened all of them, but the driver would be the only one with the key to your box. And you could, that way your equipment could stay with the truck. It's your equipment. Like you're saying, if it's your own truck, it's your own equipment. If you're slip seat, then it's the truck. It belongs to those two guys. That was a solution. We actually did a cost, and we could do that for like $3,000, which is pretty cheap. I'm not opposed to Chad's way either. I don't know which one's better.
I agree with Chad. If you start charging the drivers, they're going to take better care of their equipment because now it's coming out of their pocket.
Well, that's easy, but there's always a negative side to it. And I
agree with you on the locks.
There is a negative to it.
Yeah.
I mean, me myself, I take care of my shit.
I know.
3 days ago, what did I do? Fucked around, not paying attention, dropped a damn vial on the ground. Okay, I had an extra vial. Carelessness like that. Okay, that sucks. I'm gonna have to buy me a new vial now. So be it. That's why I say for the hydrometer thing, maybe allow them 1 month without cost. 1 month, no more.
Isn't it one a month a lot? I mean, those things aren't cheap. 1 a month is a lot.
That's $1,200.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if you're taking care of, I get it, and I know you're just throwing suggestions out there. But Bill, what were you going to say?
So, I agree with Chad as far as the equipment goes. I'm not sure locking the boxes is the right way to go because, you might have a master key, Joel, Kyle might have a master key. If you're not here, who's going to open it up?
Well, the driver should be the only one with access.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is, the key thing's wrong. I think Chad's on the right point. I worked for Cisco. When you work for Cisco, you got a two-wheeler, whether you lay down, stand up, you paid for. When you left the company, you got a prorated amount to get that equipment back. I think the equipment should be assigned to the driver. If the driver's gonna pay for it, that's your decision. So much taken out of the check a week. When the driver leaves, they get so much back, or the whole thing back, whatever it is. That's the way I think we should do it. And everybody's responsible for their own equipment.
So we brought that up before. There was a
We
time.
talked about that before.
Yeah, we did.
I think that's the way to go. I mean, to me,
Well, we talked about it before, and we said, okay, let's do it. And $25 a paycheck, which really to me doesn't sound like a lot, and everyone threw a fit, huh?
We won't miss it.
I don't know. That ain't the
Don't
feedback.
even-
This is
hold
where
on,
we
hold
don't all
on.
agree. Because
Don't
I had a
even-
lot of
don't-
drivers say,
forget $25 a paycheck. Call it $5 a paycheck. Because when I was with Cisco years ago, that's what they took out, $5 a paycheck. You paid $200 for a two-wheel. When you turned it back in, you got $180 back, whatever it was. You know.
So you're
$5
talking a
pay-
bag with
No,
everything, a
that's two
thief,
bags.
Yeah.
That's
the
two
thief
bags.
kid.
Yeah, whatever.
You know, I mean, to interrupt Bill, but one of the negatives to this is leaving those tools, if we chose to go this route, leaving the tools in the truck. You know, Joelle was under the impression we had them. Take them home with you, that's what she said. And that's all great and fine and dandy, except for not everybody out there drives pickup. Some of them got pretty nice cars.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want them oily tools in my trunk. So we kind of need a place that we could put it here.
I had
Still
a
want the
tote.
box.
I had a tote with a lid.
That would be, I mean, and they're cheap. We can pick them up at Walmart.
So
We
I don't
just
know,
Can
this-
have a place to put them here. At the
this
shop.
is one of my issues where things don't come to fruition. Like I know that we've been in this place before too, and we talked about up on the mezzanine having somebody building with a lockbox for every driver to put their stuff in. Again, I don't know where it died. I'm open to this. I can tell you what I want is for you guys to be able to do your job as easy as possible and have the tools you need. That's what I want. I just don't know the best way to do it. And I'm open to this. I think, kind of see my mind changing as we're having this conversation, but I really would like to, get some more input and for us to just figure out what is it going to take? Like you said, now do we need to build something where they can put their tools? And I don't want to overcomplicate it. I think it's good. You should.
The tote thing, we can all buy our own totes at Walmart for $5. Let us put them upstairs. Put our names on them. We put our own padlock. It's all right there. We can go upstairs anytime we want and get them.
If you can keep it secure, I don't have any problem with any.
That'd be my thing. Like, you would have to keep it secure because nobody's gonna watch it 24/7.
There you go.
And who's gonna stop Sam from going upstairs and digging through somebody else's stuff?
Well, yeah, that's where the padlocks come in. I mean, they
Okay.
have to pick up the whole
I
damn
would rather
tote.
still have some
Get
way
it
to
out. I mean,
secure.
but that's just something for you guys
Okay.
to work over.
No,
and
I
stuff
like it, but I don't want this to be one of those things that 6 months from now we're like, well, yeah, I remember us talking about it. We need to do something, and this is always seems to be a big deal. I want the drivers to really feel like going to work is not so difficult. Like you shouldn't have to wonder if the truck's up. You shouldn't have to wonder if you're going to have the tools you need. But I also am asking you guys to consider what we go through and all this extra expense. And at the end of the month, I'm looking at it like who did this? Like where did all this go? Because it's not even $1,000 or $2,000. Like I said, December is the last month I have the numbers for, and it was $30,000. And it's that's just extra money that we could have used to pay bills and to do other things. So I like this conversation. I appreciate everybody's input. I'm actually feeling kind of encouraged that we're all on the same page for a change, and I'm happy to do this for you guys if this helps you succeed. We will follow up with numbers and what it'll take, what we can do, and the best way to do this. Is there anything else, Sierra?
No.
Awesome.
Except me.
You got more?
Safety focus words is get home safely. I forgot that. That's it.
Nothing
That's
else.
it.
Kim?
Sorry.
That's not it.
The Ladonna sent out in her notes this week about your emails. You've been having to have those set up because next week she's going to have statements going via email. If you do not have your emails set up, You're not gonna get your statements. So
Pay statement?
your pay statements. So those are gonna start going electronically. So make sure you get with Robert and get those set up. There's no excuse. We've had these since October, and there's a lot of you that don't have them set up and aren't using them. We're paying for these guys. Stop wasting money. That's all.
Here's a sign-up sheet. You guys can get it.
Yeah. That's what we talked about today. Okay, it's let me read it. Oh, hold on. Thank